Hi, folks. This is something a little bit different from me. It's a new book, and it's a new book from one of my best friends and one of my also Earthmovers contributors for the magazine that we both write for, David Wylie, who I've got joining me today. It's the third book. Look at the size of this, folks. It's magnificent, 472 pages. I always do digital, I always do video. But what I've always loved is David books, and basically the books tell a story. Let's start with the front cover, a magnificent picture.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me on, Peter. Yeah, I was really delighted because it became about a chance meeting going to Australia with a guy called Roy Pater from Mindware. And they're an Australian based company, part of the Komatsu family, and they do an amazing dig guidance and machine compliance piece of kit. And we saw that on the PC 4000 at Baumer. So, cut a long story short, I got invited out, and Roy took me some round these tier one mining companies in Australia. And that actual front cover is a PC 7000 loading Komatsu 930E haul trucks, which are 291 ton capacity. And it's up in a place at Batchfire at Callide Mine in Billawheeler. So I had to jump on a plane from Brisbane and fly up there for 2 hours and then drive for an hour to get to the mine site to get the front cover.
Well, it's fantastic. And I think, what people don't understand, David, is mining is your speciality. But what really strikes me about the book is I flick through the pages. There are magnificent pictures like this, but there's also archive material. And there's a lot of people involved in the book because the book's around not just the equipment, is it? It's the story of how people have looked after equipment, how people have used equipment, and the mining industry and how it's changed over time.
Yeah, I think the thing that kind of drives me to do books, Peter, is actually, as you say, it's capturing the people's story. The most important thing about these technologically advanced machines is actually the people who buy them, operate them, and maintain them. And it's really to tell their story. There's some historic stories in it as well. When you look at the DMAG 485, that was the largest hydraulic excavator, and it actually was in Scotland. That's hard to believe at one time, back in 1986. So I actually got in contact with the operator, a guy called Ron Austin, and he had some great photographs. And actually, I managed to contact another chap who was head of DMAG engineering at the time, and he had some photographs in his personal collection. There's actually a cracking photograph in there of the DMAG engineers sitting in a porter cabin with the telematics systems back in 1986, recording all the stresses and movements of that DMAG 485 machine, 550 ton, back in 1986. And he sent me some great pictures from his personal collection, including a belt buckle, actually, that Klemke and Sons from the oil sands in Canada gave him as a special thank you for designing a slightly bigger, more powerful machine than the 485. And all those kind of little insights from people, I think, which makes the book really stand out for me.
I think that telemetry system you're talking about, we're now seeing GPS, 3D machine control, all of these different things coming through into our industry. And one of the things that excites me is the insights you also get about the kind of road to autonomy that I talk about a lot and what is coming down the line as well. You've obviously captured a lot of that in the book as well, haven't you?
I think one of the most technologically advanced stories was actually I did it during the pandemic. So I come back from Australia and got in contact with a company called National Group, and they brought over a company called Wolf Mining. Now, Wolf Mining bought the very first Caterpillar D11T dozers that were semi-autonomous. So in other words, there's two guys sitting in a porter cabin driving 8 dozers in a bulk push dozer application. Can you imagine that? So air conditioned, no vibrations, no danger. They drive one machine. We've seen it kind of Hillhead and we've seen it at Baumer, but this company's actually working with it. So they're driving one machine and they're in charge of three others, and there's two guys sitting there doing that. That is just incredible, and that was fantastic to cover.
You have that exclusive element to what you're doing that nobody else can do, and because you put in all of that time. And I think that's the way in which the industry works. And we've got a mutual friend called Scott Lidster, who's been on my podcast before, and he's another one of those people in the industry that wants to share his experiences and wants to actually share the way in which the industry is moving forward and bring more people into it. It's really important that we have people like that as well, isn't it, in the industry?
Scott and I conversation sort of over the internet, and actually when we were camped in Brisbane for sort of 5 nights, Scott lives in Brisbane, so I invited him round to the flat to see him face to face, and quickly realised what he does is absolutely invaluable, because it's all right having these big complicated mining excavators, but the most important person actually is a well-trained operator to get the most out of it. And what Scott does is absolutely essential for the mining industry. So I said to him there and then, I said, look, let's do a feature on you at some point, whether it's a book or a magazine. But actually, so we managed to do that. So he had to get back permission from his customers to make sure he could release the pictures that he'd taken and all that, which is, as you say in your foreword, Peter, it's all about this trusted relationships. You have to make sure that you treat the people that you're visiting on mine site respectfully, to make sure that that you're doing everything well and everything's going well. So no, that was fantastic to have Scott in it. So I was absolutely delighted.
So, you've got the insights, David. We've got changes in the mining industry. So, fully autonomous mines. We've got electrification coming. We've potentially got hydrogen coming.
If you look at Forsecure Group, which is FMG, they've actually just signed a deal with Liebherr. So that mining company is actually going to design their own power pack, because they've just bought over Williams Advanced Engineering, an arm of the ex-Williams Formula One team, and they've so two family companies, Liebherr and FMG, have said that by 2025 they're going to have a 300-ton capacity haul truck running on hydrogen. Done deal. Two family companies, no shareholders involved. They're going to do it. That's just amazing. And they've actually looked to Liebherr as a technology partner to deliver the cab, the chassis, and the dump body. They'll supply the power pack.
And that's why this industry is so fascinating. But that's why, folks, you need to go and get one of these books from David. And David, how can people get hold of this book? And it's literally hot off the press, folks. We've seen the video as this video has been done and this interview is taking place. How can people actually get the solid copy that it is? And it's going to make a fantastic present or gift for someone as well. Where do they go? What do they do? How do they find you, David?
Yeah, it's quite simple, Peter. I'm on LinkedIn, so I'm quite easy to find. And I'm certainly on Facebook. And I've set up a separate page called earthmovingimages.com. So if they just send me a private message there, and then I'll just ship it. They can pay either by BACS, transfer, or PayPal. It's as simple as that. And I've only been sort of selling the book for about this week for about 4 days, and I've already shipped 100 copies.
Wow, so a third of the books have already gone, folks, and you don't want to miss an opportunity to give a real earth-moving enthusiast and a mining enthusiast the opportunity to have one of these books, literally 300 editions. I've got one, and I'm not letting go of it either, folks. And basically, David, it's great to see you continuing to do this. This is a labor of love, folks. And David does this just to share with other people. Doesn't actually make any money out of it. Does it for the love of actually telling the stories. And that's why, David, this is a unique book from a unique person. And I would really urge another 200 people very quickly to get the checkbooks out. Get in touch with David, Earth Moving Images on Facebook or on LinkedIn, David Wylie. Thanks very much for my book, for letting me be a part of it. And what a fantastic journey you're going on. Continue to do the great work. Cheers.
Thanks very much, Peter, for having me. It's always a pleasure, and I hope people like the book.